What up, friends? There's a lot of those these days, and today we're going to be reviewing N.Flying's newest and technically kind of debut album, Man on the Moon. So this is the debut Korean full-length by the sort of K-pop group, pop rock band N.Flying. I mean, this is technically their second full-length if you're counting their Japanese album, but still. The guys in N.Flying always had this very light and fun energy to them. It's a K-pop group, but you have the vibes of a pop rock band, which is not very common in the K-pop industry. The group have definitely had some pretty solid projects in the past, however, they've always felt like they didn't have a totally solid identity to them. This album largely continues that trend, having a lot of pretty fun tracks, but they sacrifice their sound occasionally for the sake of commerciality. Moonshot is a pretty good opener to the record with some fun and catchy guitar riffs and a really nice groove. I really like the build up to the anthemic chorus, and when the brass hits, it's great. It also has an interesting combination of very light verses, a bombastic chorus along with some great vocals, and a pretty clean transition into the rap segment. It's just an inoffensive, fun pop rock tune about pushing forward and not being afraid of change. Ask is kind of going into power ballad mode now with very delicate guitar and piano. It's an interesting time to slow things down 2 songs in, but it's a pretty strong track overall. I do like how they're opting for the more rock ballad side of things rather than the pop ballad side of things. I feel like a typical pop ballad would be kind of unfitting for the sound of the record. There's smooth flows all around along with very passionate delivery, fitting the dramatic love-struck lyrics about the guys wondering if their ex or whoever they're talking about still thinks of them just like they do about them. Kama has a pretty good piano opener. It feels like a natural progression from the previous song. The wistful flows and sort of synthesized beat are pretty nice, and they have a sort of dark element to match the elegant instrumental overall. A nice contrast there. However, it does tend to stay in one place too much for my liking, and the bridge, the instrumental on it is a bit generic with how trap-oriented it is. However, oddly enough, I really like the flows during the bridge, and the little guitar accents that appear here and there are also pretty fun. To me, it's kind of a middle-of-the-road track. There are some things that I like about it, things that I don't, but it's alright overall. Now with Undo, the snap beat that opens this track is so repetitive and it's so commonly used. However, I do think the beat gets better as the track progresses. The disco influences in the guitar during the chorus are really nice. However, the keys and the vocals during the pre-chorus can come off kind of obnoxious at times. It's one of those songs where the instrumentals are really fun and the vibe is good, but a few key pieces kind of drag it down from its full potential. The upbeat instrumental is an interesting backdrop to the writing metaphors in the lyrics describing a breakup. However, it's kind of humorous in a sense, like a I'm such a fucking idiot, that kind of way. You is probably my least favorite song on here, feeling the most generic and commercial by far. It basically takes everything that I didn't like about the previous 2 songs and combines them into one with its very over-the-top keys, simplistic beat, and very hollow-sounding instrumental. There's just nothing that really stands out about it as being interesting, forward-thinking, or really anything energized at all. I mean, I suppose this very light and innocent instrumental fits the sort of young love, like you met your soulmate angle in the lyrics, but in a way it almost feels too shallow. Blue Scene, on the other hand, is a pretty cool pop tune with its huge bass presence alongside these smooth vocals. This would feel right at home in the 90s with its shimmering synths and soundscapes. The chorus feels like a natural extension of the verses, and I love the rhythmic guitar sections here. The rap verse is way different than the rest of the instrumental, however, it kind of does capture that 90s aesthetic to it, and they transition back to the main instrumental nicely, so it's pretty good overall. The sort of sensual serenade lyrical angle also really fits this era too. Fate opts for a more contemporary R&B sound with its in-depth guitar picking and colder vibes that go along with it. The general tone of the track is pretty dreamy with very lush instrumentals and vocals. It gives it nice texture, and I also really like the sort of piano flourishes that are thrown in here and there. The general flow changes are nice too, even if the pre-chorus is a bit generic. The guitar also gets its own time to shine as it flows in and out of the instrumental, which is pretty fun to see. The energy of this track also fits the guys like trying to finally get over this person that they're talking about here. Zip is also a bit mixed for me. I like the vocal tone on this one a lot, however, I think the verses are a bit too simplistic and don't show off their skills all that well. The chorus, on the other hand, is lush and vibrant and is by far the best part of this song. The electronic elements also don't really fit this track as much as they did on the previous songs on the record. However, I do think the loneliness in the lyrics does match the overall instrumental, and the track is just pretty decent overall, I think. With 2U, the sort of sophistopop sound is a bit cheesy, however, it's hard to deny how passionate these guys are over it. The piano is quirky and cute, and the organ and general beat totally have that classic 90s and 2000s boy band vibes to them, like NSYNC or Backstreet Boys. The flows are sweet and lively, and the track just has a pretty nice progression to it. It might not be to everyone's taste, but I think I might have a soft spot for songs like this. Flashback is a pretty nice ending track, sort of looking back on all of these sounds that they've explored on the record. It almost has this sort of anime aesthetic to it, which is pretty unique for the project. Like, I could totally see this being used for like the big battle at the end of the series when the hero and the villain are having a heart-to-heart or something like that. It's a really good combination of piano, guitar, and some pretty engaging drumming too. The vocals are powerful and bombastic, matching the tone of the instruments nicely. The lyrics express the conclusion to their love and their relationship, so all of this makes a lot of sense. Now, N.Flying's first Korean full-length is fine, however, it is pretty safe and commercial. There's a lot to like on here for K-pop and pop rock fans, however, a lot of the more interesting instrumentals are undercut with fairly tropey ones. The guys largely maintain their charisma, however, the instrumentals don't always have the sort of intricacy, smooth vibes, and energy of a lot of their previous projects like The Hottest, Spring Memories, and Yahoo. I'd really like to see the group expand more on the pop rock and jazzy brass-driven instrumentals that they've shown on a few songs on the record. Their generic pop stuff doesn't really help their sound since they're already pretty pop to begin with, so we need that sort of lush instrumental to have a lot of variety in the record and also add some texture to a very clean sound. Overall, I'm feeling a light 6 on the N.Flying project. It's pretty good, just kind of safe. Of course, we do have to talk about album covers on this show, and this is a pretty good one overall. It's a bit unfitting for the title of the album, I will say. However, the very light and airy imagery with just them in the field, the very bright pastel-y colors, it does fit the more pop rock instrumentation. So you're kind of in that weird, awkward middle ground where it fits the sound, but it might not fit the actual name of the project very much, so it's okay overall. But of course, those are just my thoughts about the new N.Flying album. What do you guys think? Is this pretty much everything you could have wanted for the band, or do you agree that they should kind of expand on the more intricate moments of their instrumentals and ditch the more commercial pop stuff? Let me know. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the bell if you want to join me on the moon. And until the next one, farewell.